I think a lot of the acne stuff is, it's totally psychological. They say hormones. Okay, mate. I'm not going to mention diet yet. Let's talk about hormones and psychology. What is sadness? What is depression? What is they're hormones, right? And if you're stressed, for example, you release cortisol, is what we know. And to have more cortisol for a day or two, it's fine. To have more cortisol for 5 months straight, that's a hormonal imbalance right there, right? It's not necessarily your physiological factors like your environment and your diet only that affect your hormones, but you're very psychological. Like if you are in an abusive situation because you don't know if you will have enough money, or because you're stressed about a million of things, because you're suppressing your sadness and so on and so forth, those things, those circumstances by themselves, without any other factor, can cause a hormonal imbalance. And so that's just for stress, that's just for cortisol and stress. What if you're sad constantly because of your circumstances? What if you're this or that or the other? And so there is a constant presence of hormones which should have otherwise not been there. That by itself is a hormonal imbalance. And as I was saying, yeah, I do believe that a lot of acne could be psychological. So much, because it's at those ages where you're so confused, you don't know what's happening. There's so much pressure to make decisions, and there's so much suppression of yourself, and you do not know how to navigate through situations and how to deal with situations, and you're conflicted and you're divided between thing A and thing B and so on and so forth, and it's all a mess. And there is so much, like for the, how should I say it? For the most sensitive, for the more conscious people of that age, they will be so reserved, and they will consider their actions a lot and what is right and what is wrong, because they're figuring things out. And in this process, there is a lot of suppressing yourself down so much. And that by itself is enough to cause a hormonal imbalance. And yeah, I truly think that this is such a huge factor. It's probably overlooked. But here is the thing. Maybe your acne is to a big extent affected by your psychology, but it's also physiological. It's also the things which you put in your mouth, the air that you're breathing, and the lack of nature, and too much concrete jungle, and so on and so forth. And doctors would always tell me, that was 15 years ago, and probably science caught up, but they would all tell me when I had acne, when I was a teenager, and even into my early 20s, they would all be like, it's hormonal, take these creams, take these pills, and you're done. And nobody asked, okay, sir, what are hormones affected by? Because this isn't normal, this is not how people should be. What are hormones affected by? And so I'm convinced that psychology is one thing, and the other is your diet. Your food has hormones. It's not just dairy and meat. It's a lot of your food, even vegan food, so much of your food has hormones and affects your hormones. And then doctors, because they've been groomed by the universities, by the curriculums, like if they do not want to talk about diet, and if they do not want to give so much emphasis about the most straightforward of things that you could do to help your hormones, which is diet, well, it makes me do believe that the curriculum is perhaps a little bit affected by some corporate, pharmaceutical, whatever interests, right? As I was saying, maybe it's going to be so hard to deal with the psychological part, which affects your hormones and gives you acne and all kinds of stuff. But do you know what is so very easy and direct and immediate? Your diet. Your diet. And it doesn't have to be, I know diet can become overwhelming when you're beginning to get the gist of it, and you start learning about it, and there's so much to listen to, and there's so many divided opinions. But hey, listen. There is consensuses between all of them. Whether it is the vegan people or the keto people or the paleo people or the raw vegan people or the carnivore people, they all agree to some things. Don't eat garbage. It is straightforward. You clean up your diet, you buy almost your entire pantry from the Whole Foods section of the supermarket, and it's going to help you. And here's the thing. You might not be able to fix your psychology directly so easily. It might take some time. But if you fix your physiology, you're going to see that it's going to help your mind clear up. And then you're going to have an easier time figuring out your psychological issues as well. The only thing that stops you is that food is addictive. Even the food that you do not imagine is addictive. It's addictive. And so it requires a lot of resolve, a lot of will, And to have will, you have to have a motivation.